Hello everyone, welcome or welcome back. My name is Cassidy or Starr and I am a light renegade, part of a collective of Pleiadian beings bringing you information from the veil beyond. Hi, I am alive, I am okay. I honestly don't know where to begin. It's been a really wild ride for me, especially last week. It was very intense for all us light renegades, and it's really amazing how the universe works, is what I want to say, and what I've been guided to and how all of this has panned out. And I don't really know what to say apart from apologies to two people that I'm going to have to speak about. I was trying to think of the best way to talk about this, but there is no way to talk about this without getting quite personal, and this might irk some people, and I feel like I just have to share what has happened to me in my experience, and I know that your realities might be very different from mine, and I have to appreciate that. And if discussions want to be had, then that is absolutely fine. Please do reach out to me. But I have to share what's been going on in my world. So last week I was given a lot of information that I've been waiting for and hoping for a very long time. So you might want to go back and watch my last video. Then I talk about my ET experiences. It's quite a long video, but this video might not make sense unless you go back and watch that. So what happened last week, and hello to everyone, thank you for your patience, by the way. So what happened last week was that I felt like I was being blocked from speaking to my guides. I couldn't bring Diana through. I've been channeling Diana, the Princess of Wales. I couldn't bring Diana through. I was being blocked by guides, blocked from my guides, and I just couldn't connect in. I couldn't connect in like I used to, and I just started to sit and just sit and just sit, and I thought, okay, information will come through when it's ready, when it's supposed to. And then I was just outside one day and someone else came in. Someone else came in to me saying that they wanted to share some information, and it absolutely blew me away. I was not expecting this. I was not expecting this person, and I spent some time trying to process that. But at that time that happened, it was like a blockage was coming in from somewhere that I couldn't access. I'm not going to share who this person is because I don't think I'm going to be bringing messages through from them for a little while, but it is someone that is going to be very important, very beneficial for this line of work that I seem to find myself in. So this is where I have to start at the beginning. This is where I have to go back and kind of share my story from day one. So cut to 2010, 11, 12, somewhere around, I go to university, and my first year of university I wasn't enjoying it. I was doing 2 courses that I didn't like, so I applied for makeup school, which I completely forgot about. I actually wrote an application to go to makeup school in Bournemouth, and I didn't send it, and I ended up switching courses, and I stayed at university. So cut to however many years that is later, and I have become a makeup artist. I moved to London. I spent a year having a really amazing time being a makeup artist, and then lockdown happens. So whilst in lockdown, this was when I started my I guess my official awakening. So I was in London for this official awakening, and I was in a relationship that it was like the best and the worst times, and apologies to this person because I really do not want to offend you, but I have to just share and say it how it is. So I was in a very turbulent relationship. From day one it was quite turbulent, and we had the best of times and the worst of times together, and we definitely brought out the worst in each other, and I think this person would agree if they look back. So at this time I was still in this relationship, and I was really struggling. I didn't know what to do. I was going through my awakening, and this person wasn't really that supportive of what was happening, and our relationship broke down. Simultaneously at this time I was being reminded of a person from my past, and this person I actually met whilst I was at university, and I was being bombarded with messages about them, kind of just bringing them to my attention. It was like this person's energy came into my field one day, and I was like, why is this here? I don't understand it. And this is when I was just starting to understand energy and start to be able to feel energy. So me and this person had a connection whilst I was at university, so it was actually a lot longer than I thought it was. And that was the start of my awakening, you know. It was like that person actually, it was like a trigger in this whole process, and this person was always in the back of my mind somewhere. It was like I felt really like I had to protect them in some way, or just make sure that they were okay and keep an eye on them. And what I wasn't understanding was that anytime I thought about this person, I was actually being called in energetically by them. And now what I want to get clear is that I don't know if this person has been aware of that, where they are in a timeline that I'm actually physically in. And this is part of my journey that I've been missing. So I've been energetically called in by this person over the years from time and time again. And, you know, we would end up speaking for a little bit, something would happen, I would see them, and then I would just be upset and just confused, because I wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't know how to kind of be in this connection, and you know, we weren't in each other's lives really, but it was always just in the back of my mind, and I couldn't let it go. I couldn't get rid of it. It was always just there. And now it's going to be a bit jumbled getting this story out, because there's so many components that are a bit back and forth. But so what was happening was this person was energetically calling me in over the years, and something would happen. I'd end up seeing them, have a conversation with them, and then that would be it, and I'd get on with my life and, you know, try my best just to not think about this person, quite frankly. And I'm trying to make this make sense to everyone else, but I know that it's probably not going to. So yeah, cut to me living in London in this relationship. So what I was told was that this person that I have been in a relationship, they are actually of reptilian descent. So this is not to say that this person is a reptilian, but their lineage, they are Welsh, they have come from reptilian descent. So what was playing out in my journey with them was me unraveling my connection to the reptilian energy. So me getting free from this relationship, breaking this bond with this person, which was really difficult. You know, I really loved this person, but it just wasn't working. So me breaking myself free from this connection was actually helping the cosmic energy shift with regards to the reptilian energy somewhere. So, you know, me being a Pleiadian, this person being of reptilian descent, it was helping that shift and that separation from the reptilian energy having such a great hold. So everything that's been happening in my sort of microism has been actually a reflection of the macro that has been happening on the planet. So that was my connection. So that was bombshell number one from last week, was that, you know, I was essentially sleeping with the enemy for quite a long time. I was with this person for 5 years. So that was a massive shock to me. But I didn't get this told until after everything else that had happened. So last week, the connection was being cut. I couldn't reach Diana. And, you know, I had very much in my mind that this other person wants to come through and share some information. And this was very, very much connected to the line of work that I've been delving into. And I was also brought to mental health. It was like, you're going to be looking into mental health and, you know, rituals, Satanism, all of that stuff. So this was happening, this was playing out in my mind, and I just didn't know what was happening. And then someone came through, a different guide, an Arcturian guide came in, and they said, you know, we're going to give you a bit of information now, and you have to record it. And now when I have my personal chats with my guides, I don't record it. I probably should, but I just feel like, you know, the information is going in where it needs to, so I never record it. But this I recorded, and what they shared to me was that this person that I've known for a very long time, and this person, now if you've watched my other video, you know that this person, I actually had a child with in a previous life that I started to remember, and that's why I felt like I was in such a connection with this person, because I knew that we'd had a life together somewhere else. So this is present day now in this timeline. They're saying, you know, this person that you have this connection with, they actually have performed some sort of ritual at some point in their lifetime, and now in this timeline that I'm in right now, I'm not sure how aware this person is even of this. If you know this person doesn't speak to me, they don't want to speak to me, I've kind of tried to reach out to them over the time and they just haven't responded. But apart from that, when I did reach out to them, when I started my awakening last year, 3 years ago even, and specifically in 2022, it's like I could have telepathic communication with this person. So it was like this person would come in, we'd have conversations. I was kind of like, look, I don't know what's going on, but something is happening that I can't explain, and you know, like, what do you know? And this person was very cagey. This person wouldn't really give me too much, but they would always just kind of keep me there and just keep me dangling with like little bits of information and coming through, you know, and just saying, you know, I don't know, I'm just confused. So this is what was happening, but I'm not speaking to this person. And this person is in my hometown, so I left London, left that situation, but obviously whilst I was going through my awakening and having this turbulent relationship with this person, that's why the whole of the country was going through this whole entire lockdown, and I was in the epicenter of London. So think about it, you know, with regards to the work that I've been doing, you know, with the royal family, I was in the epicenter, kind of transmuting all of this crazy energy within me, and also with regards to my relationships, I was like, okay, this makes sense. So cut to my Arcturian guide coming in last week and telling me that this other person that I'm in connection with has been in some sort of ritual at some point in their life, and you know, they had decided to, I don't know what they've done, they've set some intention somewhere that they, you know, are working for the enemy, is all I'm going to say. I'm not going to include names, but we all know who that is, you know, someone that is from the underworld. They'd agreed to be in contact with something from the underworld. So what I was told was that whilst I was going through all this turbulent time and in such turmoil that this person wouldn't officially speak to me or come forward, was that they couldn't. They were blocked in some way, but also what was happening was I was jumping through timelines. So I was actually maneuvering between timelines. So when I was connecting with this person, it was in different timelines. I was like, why won't this person speak to me this lifetime in this timeline? I just didn't understand it. But I was connecting with different timelines, and I was having to maneuver my way out of it, because what had happened was, it was like my energy was always constantly being pulled towards this person. I was having to physically, it felt like I was having to physically pull my energy back, like all day, every day. I felt like this person had a GPS tracker on me. I can't describe it, but it was like I was having to pull my energy back from this person, and you know, it was just a really tricky situation. I was talking to this person, I didn't know they were already in another connection, and then I found that out and I cut all ties with them. And this person was still trying to get through to me telepathically, and I was having to block this connection from my third eye. And, you know, I sort of said to them, you're in a connection, do what you've got to do, and, you know, I'm not being any part of this. But none of this was actually playing out where, what I think now, none of this was actually playing out in my timeline that I'm physically in now. So I was connecting between different timelines. So when this person was calling me back, there was a darker essence to this energy calling me back, and that's why I wasn't getting much information from them. This darker presence that was within them and with them was trying to gain information from me, and that was what my guides weren't allowed to tell me. So this whole time I've just been really confused, what the hell is going on with this connection, and just not understanding it at all. So I was pulling my energy back all the time and just being called back and called back. Simultaneously in this, I was getting this person's child self and their partner's child self just coming to me and just being really upset, really afraid. It's like these people come in energetically, and I'd literally, you know, sit there and give them a hug, and I'd be like just telling them that it's okay. And this whole time, all of last year, I've just been battling with my own energies and feelings with this, and not having any confirmation from anywhere just exactly what's going on. So, you know, I've been sending energy out to them all the time last year. Anytime I saw either of them, you know, I would just be like, you don't look very happy, and I would send all my loving energy out that I could to them. And it was because in different timelines these people were playing out very different lives, but I was connected to that and I could sense that somewhere. So I don't know, these people might just think I'm mad in this timeline. They probably do, but I'm connecting to things that other people can't see, and that's been part of my journey. Part of my soul's growth has been to keep pressing forward on this journey, although it doesn't make sense to everyone else. And you know, I've had to work really hard at standing my ground and standing steadfast where I am and just believing in what I believe in, because it is my reality. So I was told this person set an intention, made a contract somewhere at some point in their life, and this was being played out. You know, I kind of felt like I saw this person go through different stages and, you know, not be the person that I remembered them as. And there was something that always stuck with me, is that this person's eyes were just different. Anytime I'd seen them recently when I moved back home, it was like they just look different. Their eyes are not the same. It's like there was no sparkle in their eyes. Their eyes just don't look the same. And it's because they had this other entity that was attaching to them. And that was what I was actually having to fight off, was this energy from this other entity, this other darkness that was connecting to them. So this might resonate with some of you in some of your connections and what's happening. It's like if something has been particularly turbulent and particularly just a bit chaotic and crazy, there might be other timelines at play within your connection. So I was given this information and I basically had a mental breakdown with it, because I couldn't grasp this. I just couldn't grasp this information. I couldn't handle it. So I had a breakdown of my consciousness, and enter me working in the realms of mental health, because what happened next would be considered a mental breakdown. So I was given this information. I felt like I couldn't process it, and for the longest time I was just getting the information that this person isn't a good person, this person isn't a good person. But it's like I see people at a soul level, so this person hasn't been particularly nice to me. For quite a lot of our connection and interactions, it wasn't the best, and I always just saw them in the highest of light and the highest of love. And I was having to learn to, you know, not take people on energetic value, because at a soul's level, no one is evil, no one is bad. But it's like I was connecting to people's soul energy so much that they could do no wrong in my eyes, including my past relationship of 5 years. It was like I was ignoring all the red flags. I was ignoring all the signs telling me to cut ties of this relationship, because I was connecting with them at a soul's level. And, you know, it's like my soul remembered them. We were soulmates. My soul remembers them. And I wasn't looking at what was actually happening. It's like actions speak louder than energy sometimes, and also words. And I was having to look at people's actions rather than what their souls energetically was putting out. And I was having to actually see what was happening in front of me, and trusting my intuition. So I had what would be considered a mental breakdown last week. I felt like something else entered my body. I felt like something else entered my body. A different energy went into my body, and I couldn't function properly. There would be times when I was just completely spaced out. I'd be trying to, you know, speak to people and text people, and I just couldn't get my words out. It was like this energy was not letting me connect to my guides to one, or get out this information that I wanted to. And I had to call in the Light Renegades, and I was, look, this information's been brought to light, and I kind of don't know what to do with it. And they were like, okay, like you just don't seem okay, you don't seem the same. And I was like, I'm not, like I feel literally blocked. And at this time it was like I was seeing so many dark energies, so many dark presences around me, and I was having to stand my ground with them and having to stand my light with them. So I spent some time in this energy, and they were like, what can we do? And I was like, I think you're just supposed to be sending me love and light. So they were holding me in a space of this and trying to help me process what was actually happening, you know, because I was like, this doesn't make any sense to me. I don't understand what has happened. But it did. Like, it's so crazy to say, but when I first arrived back in my hometown, really confused about these connections and what was going on, I've been keeping diaries for the most part of my life, and I started to scroll back through diaries because I'm not connected to this person on social media anymore, and I was scrolling back through diaries, and the first time I met up with this person, so back in 2012 or whatever, I put in this diary that we spoke about Satanism and other weird things, and I just, when I read that, I was like, that is such a peculiar thing, one, to be talking about, and two, that I put that in my diary as like a note, as like a point to make reference to. And then I started to think back on everything, and I was like, yeah, this person hasn't actually been the nicest to me quite a lot of our connection, and I still just felt attached to this person. And the information that I got next was that, you know, I had to remember this past life with this person and to feel energetically attached to them. So one, I could try and pull myself free and make my soul stronger, but two, at this time I was going to have to retrieve this person's soul from this contract that they created. So what I was sitting in was in this person's energetic field in different timelines. So now you've got to think, all of last week there's been lots of different timeline shifts, and everyone was off fighting different battles. You know, there was a galactic battle, there's been some angelic battles, and that was what I was sitting in. I was sitting in an angelic battle somewhere with this person, and my situation with them playing out as part of that consciousness in that battle. So we were fighting in this battle energetically, but me being where I am and connecting with different timelines. I have no idea what this other person was doing in this timeline. They might have just been living their life, but I was connecting into this battle with them, and I was having to ground my energy and just help them pull themselves out. So that's why I've been filtering this person energy this whole time, to help them in their life and just help them kind of just stay afloat with some things. I think they've been really struggling with a lot of things energetically, and when they see this, I hope this makes sense to them. And you know, I'm really not out here to offend anyone, but I just have to share what has happened. So in this diary I put that we talked about Satanism, and I was like, okay. And a long while ago I got information that, you know, this person was trying to bypass spirit, and I didn't understand what that meant. It was like they were trying to bypass spirit, and I recorded a video of this on Instagram. When I look back at this video today, I was like, oh my gosh, because I'm in a t-shirt, and this t-shirt is of an angel, that it's of a Nirvana angel t-shirt, and this on this t-shirt, this angel has all of its, you know, its skin peeled back. And I was like, if there isn't any more of a demonic energy to that, I don't know what is. So it was like all the circles are being tied together in this one storyline for me, and it was really peculiar because I just felt like the need to leave the house. I was like, I have to get out in nature. I feel like I can't do anything. I feel like I'm drowning in this energy. So the Light Renegades were like, okay, we're going to send you some energy. Just get out in nature and just ground yourself. And whilst I was out in nature, I sent a little offering to the fairies. I was calling in everything I could possibly imagine. I was calling in the dragons, I was calling in the angels, and just being like, I don't understand, but like, please help with this. You know, please help with this connection. Please help with this person. And please help me bring their soul back, you know. And I called in all of these people, some amazing people that I knew, some little pockets of people that I've created in terms of connections over the past year. And I just called out to them and was like, you know, can you really help me and just send me some energy right now, because something's going on that's pretty wild, and I think I need that support. And it was like I had to be calling out for this help. It was like I was helping myself, you know, break through some karmic barriers of my own within my own lineage. I was asking for help of this nature. So many things have been closed down through this past week that now make a lot of sense to me. So I went out in nature, and I was having to ground in this energy, and I was just feeling a lot lighter. Cut to maybe an hours later, and bless this person that was in the park that was dog walking, because they really grounded me. I just had lots of dogs around me, and I just felt like I was supposed to be there at that time. And when I was actually on the way to walk to this park, I saw an ex of this person that I was retrieving the soul of, and I just thought, this is so peculiar. And I said to them in my mind, you know, you have to forgive this person, otherwise they're not going to be set free. And it felt like they were having to energetically understand that somewhere, and I was having to energetically understand it. Was I'm just having to forgive this person for the past. Somewhere I hadn't still forgiven this person, so I was having to know that. So I was working through my shadow as well as bringing them out, and I felt like I was just splitting in two. It was so peculiar, and I felt like I had to fight this other energy that was in there, you know. So I was saying lots of things of like, you know, you can't have this person, you know, they don't belong to you, that sort of thing. So I was feeling a lot better in this park. I came back, and it was like, you have to you have to read these Psalms. And I spoke about a connection that I'd had with my aunt a few days prior to this, and I felt like a weird energy come through me then. I said I felt like I was just questioning everything, and that was what was happening again. It was like I was questioning all of this work, everything that I've been doing, and it was like this energy was trying to tell me that I'm wrong. This energy was trying to tell me that what was happening wasn't happening. It was the Light Renegades being like, no, like, this is really happening. Like, you channeled this message, this is really happening. Because I was fighting my own consciousness, because it was just so chaotic and crazy what was happening. It was like I couldn't make sense of it, but I wasn't supposed to be making sense of it. I was just supposed to be working with it energetically. And I had this interaction with my aunt, and she said, you know, you told me about Psalm 57. I was like, did I? She was like, yeah. She was like, what was that psalm, she said to me, that you mentioned? And I was like, 57 straight away. Do not remember this at all. And I was like, okay, Psalm 57, and it was actually the 22nd of, what are we in? March. And I was like, it's the 22nd of March, so I'm going to read Psalms 22 and 57. And I knew that someone else was doing some grid work with this kind of angelic Christ consciousness timeline at 5 o'clock. So I got into this bath at 5 o'clock, and I was reciting these psalms in a salt bath. Someone had said to me, get in a salt bath, and I felt the energy to do that too. So I'd got in this salt bath, lit as many candles as I could, and I was reading these psalms and just letting all this energy go. But at the same time as this, and in somewhere else energetically, I told this person to put salt in all their doorways, and to salt around the places that they, you know, they sleep, and all of this kind of stuff. And I'd done that in my house. A few days prior, when all of this crazy energy was coming through, after I'd been told this other person wants to channel through me. So I was like, okay, somewhere this person understands this, and it was like they were there, and, you know, they were telling me that they didn't think anyone would believe them, and that they were glad that I was there. And I was just telling them, you know, like, everything's going to be okay. We've got some amazing people working on this whole timeline that was happening, but also on our situation, because this small situation was happening in the macro with regards to everyone's consciousness. And, you know, I felt a lot better in this bath, but it was like I was battling in my own mind. And, you know, we were going into Aries season, which is the sign of the ram, right? And Pluto had just gone into Aquarius, and I'm in Aquarius, Sun, Moon, Horizon. So all these things were lining up for this to make sense to me. It was like the battle of the ram. This is going to make sense to you in terms of, you know, iconography and Satanism, the battle of the ram against, you know, the rest of the consciousness. But it was my left brain and my right brain being brought together into alignment to be in this new 5D frequency. That was what was happening. But what was happening to me was a reflection of everyone in this consciousness. So all of last week, there were so many people battling energetically to bring us into this 5D consciousness, but it was working through me, and that was what I chose to do. And what I was told was that in my lifetime, I'd had a level of this darkness always inside of me and all of the Light Renegades, and the other people that I've spoken about. It's like we had a level of darkness that we agreed to work through in our lifetime, and I didn't know this. You know, I spent a lot of my time just feeling quite depressed and not really understanding it. It's because I was working through this darkness for the consciousness of everyone else, for this 5D shift that was going to be happening in this timeline that we are in right now. But what I wasn't understanding is that I've just been jumping timelines, and the information that I've been saying, you know, every day when you get up, check into your energy, is because I was waking up in a different timeline every day and having a new battle every day. That was something that was evading me. My guides couldn't tell me. I was having to figure out this information for myself. So I was feeling a lot better. You know, I was told that everything had been done, that this person now and I had cut ties, and this person's free to just, you know, continue what they are doing, and just to remember that they are a good person. Somewhere down the line, this person thought that they were a bad person. It's because in this timeline they had actually sold, you know, their soul to something else, and I don't think they are aware of it in some timelines that I'm currently in, but it's like somewhere energetically they were feeling that. And there was someone that had passed in their lifetime, and this person had come to me in readings and tried to give them information, but also they come to me and said that they didn't know who I was, but they could see this cord between me and this person. So they started to listen in where I was and where this other person is, and they said it started to make a lot of sense, and they were glad that I was there to help this person. So that is what has been happening. All of last week I went through what is essentially a mental breakdown, and now I understand that that's what I've been guided to do, that's what I've been contracted in to do, was to understand what it means to have a mental breakdown. So people that have gone through a level of psychosis, a level of a mental breakdown, it is actually them getting stuck in timelines. It's actually them getting stuck in their left brain and their right brain, wanting to come into alignment, to be in a higher level of consciousness. And now when I first had my proper awakening, when I was back in London in the epicenter, it was chaotic. I felt like I was ill. I felt like I was just losing my mind. And that's what it feels like. It feels like you're losing your mind, because you are rewiring your brain out of something that you've been told just isn't true. But that is the fabric of the true reality. It's like, you're having to come up against all of this energy that is telling you that it's not true, that none of it's true. And that's why my guide said you have to record this information from us, because you're not going to want to believe the storyline. Yet there were so many little things along the way that just made so much sense to me, and it was just sitting right in my face this whole time, and I just didn't want to see it. One, because I didn't want to see this person as bad or unintended in whatsoever way, and I was having to learn that sometimes people do bad things but they're not evil, and to the understanding that it's not always good just to go off energy. I was having to learn the hard way that you can't just trust energy sometimes. You have to trust what your eyes are telling you to, and not to be so, in the cosmic realms, in the spiritual realms, and not to be so in the logical realms. It has to be a fine balance. So I was coming into a fine balance to be ready for this 5D shift, and within my small container of what's been happening, I've been fighting the reptilian energy, and I've been fighting a connection to these darker entities, and it was just like, wow, I couldn't believe it. I'm still not back to full self on this solid ground, and it was just very, very chaotic, and I couldn't believe what was happening. I couldn't believe the storyline that had been woven this whole time, and I just couldn't believe the information I was getting. My guys were saying, we tried to give you this information this whole time last year, but I just kept blocking it out. Because I was like, how can this person be doing anything of such ill intent? Because I couldn't see it, and it wasn't in this timeline. I don't believe it was in the timeline that I was physically in all the time, but energetically they were making movements elsewhere that I was still connected to. So what I haven't been understanding is that I can timeline hop energetically, and I can see and sense into other timelines. And when I do things in my timeline, it's to help other things in other timelines. And I think this whole entire time last year I might have been doing some pretty weird things, to saying some strange things to people, or giving them really obscure messages that just didn't make sense to them in this timeline that they were in, but it was to help them in other timelines, to help them eventually come into alignment with the 5D. So I've been giving people messages that might have just seemed a bit strange, in my oracle readings and stuff, that didn't make sense to them, but it was to help them shift their consciousness and to be into the 5D. And what I believe now is that my connection with these two people over this past year, I think that, I don't know, they just think I'm a bit batshit, and that's okay. But them being so focused on me, I could feel their energy in this timeline that I'm in, and I was like, the negative energy that I was feeling from both of them, and the negative energy that I was feeling from them just not understanding me, was helping me catapult and be stronger in my journey, in my consciousness, and in my stand of where I stand right now in the line of work that I'm doing. So I'm grateful to them, and if it doesn't make sense to you, then I don't want to say I'm sorry, because I'm not, because I've been having to push your consciousness elsewhere, and eventually you will come into alignment. It was like, I know these people, I've known these people for many lifetimes, and I'm grateful to them. I'm so grateful to them, but I was having to expand their consciousness and mine at the same time. So moral of the story is, if you are really struggling right now with things that don't make sense to you, it's because you are battling between your left brain and your right brain, and you're bringing yourself into consciousness, into the 5D. So you might be someone that is experiencing things from different timelines that might not make sense to everyone else. And I think that's where we all are. We're all experiencing things that we can't explain, and the majority of people can't see them yet because they have not raised their frequency to be on the same level that we have. But that will happen. Everything that we've been doing and all the work that we've been doing is helping these people understand. So when I've been bringing messages through, when other channels have been bringing messages through that are very expansive, that are talking about these darker energies and entities, it's like we are collapsing timelines. We're collapsing the darker timelines that do not need to exist anymore. And that's why we've been doing this work. That's why we've been connecting in. That's why I've been guided this whole time to be looking and researching into these things, because I was going to have to sit in the belly of the beast. I was having to gain my strength from feeling all this conflict around me all of last year, people just not understanding what I'm doing. I was building myself up to be able to come to that exact time point last week and be able to sit in this energy of soul retrieval with this person, because that was bringing everyone else's consciousness into the light that perhaps aren't already there. And I was having to work with my shadow. I was having to sit and face my shadow. And my shadow was, I didn't want to see the bad in anyone, and sometimes you have to bring yourself forward. That's what I was sitting in. I was having to sit and understand that I had a level of darkness within me this whole time in my life, to bring the darkness into the light, and me working through certain situations in my life and expanding my own soul was bringing all of that light into level with this 5D consciousness. So know that you've been doing that too in your, micro worlds. You've been transmuting all of this dark energy so everyone else can come into the light with us. And this is going to play out in, I don't know how long of a timeline, but it's like we've been doing everything right. The confirmation is that we've been doing everything right, and I've been doing what I'm supposed to be doing, even though it didn't make sense to other people, because in other timelines and other energies it did. I was having to fight things. I was having to fight energy off. I was having to block people out. I was having to say and be quite stern with people, because elsewhere I was fighting an evil attached to them that they didn't even know that was there, and I think that this might have played out in such minor ways of people might have just thought that I was just being super mean to them. People might have thought, why am I being so mean to this person, and they didn't understand it. They might have been being aggressive, they might have just been a little bit strange and shady, and you've not been understanding why, and perhaps they've had a level of darker energy and entities attached to them that they weren't aware of in the timeline that you're living in right now, because everything happens at the exact same time. So past, present and future happen at the exact same time. And my future self came into me last week, and I had a conversation with them, and I didn't even think you could do that. It's like I didn't know that was a possibility, but they came through to say, everything is okay, and everything that you're going through you agreed to go through. And the teams weren't around, I couldn't contact them, so I was having to do this energetically. I'm feeling like I was battling off all these dark energies, and it was only in water, it was only in the shower that I could connect to my team, and they were saying, we've got you agreed to this, we're just closing down different timelines, and this is what is playing out in your timeline. So I essentially went through a mental breakdown last week, by the medical terms, of what was happening to me, seeing darker entities, feeling like I've been possessed by something else. That is like, a mental breakdown. And I was like, I understand it now. I'm having to go through this because people are, being medicated in spaces that they shouldn't be being medicated in. They just need the help and the guidance to get them out of that space that they're trapped in, because what is happening to them is real. Energetically it is real, but it is not happening to the other people that are around them. And it was like, I was speaking to other people, and it's like they can't see it, but my light renegades could sense it. It was like, I had your inner child, I had this other person's inner child, and they are fine. It's like my inner child had to leave me because I was processing something that was really, really dark and destructive in nature. And it was like, but everyone else around me, nothing was happening to them, but people just trusted me. I said to them, please send me light, and they were like, look, okay, we don't know what's going on, but we're here for you, and we will send you light. And my family in particular, I'm very lucky, and I'm very glad, and I understand why I'm in their family. I was helping them break through their karmic bonds, but also they were helping anchor me into such light, because I've been through some really dark times in my life, and they've always shown up for me. And I've had some really profound experiences with them with regards to spirituality, and I'm so grateful, and some of the stories that they've shared with me has really expanded my consciousness, and I hope that I get to bring that forward at some point too. But what I wanted to just finish on was that, sometimes we are fighting battles that are a lot bigger than we think. my life has been a battle of this darkness, me pulling myself out of depression, out of self-harm, out of addiction, out of having eating disorder. It's been a reflection of something a lot bigger that was in the consciousness of everyone else. It has been in this expanded universe. We're all just a reflection of source itself. So what I've been experiencing is what everyone else has been experiencing, but just in a different energetic standpoint. And we've just been closing down all of these darker timelines so we can actually all move into and live in the light. So please know that you, one, aren't crazy, two, you're experiencing things that other people can't see, and that is okay. But do not try and convince yourself that you are mad or that you shouldn't be experiencing these things, because that is where you get tripped up. I couldn't bring myself out of this energy last week because I was trying to logically think about things too much, and it was like I just had to sit and surrender. So I was just sitting and surrendering and listening to the guidance that I was calling from within. And it was my energetic love for this other person's soul that was bringing them back. It was like I had to remember my past life with them and being in like a family unit with them to bring them back energetically from where they were. That was the reason why I had to remember this lifetime with them, and that was why it was so hard for me to release it and let it go, because I had to be attached to it for this specific time last week. To bring it all forward and bring it all to be released. So I've just been releasing all those past energies. So now I am energetically free. My contracts have ended with these people, and now we all get to move forward and be free of that. So if you find yourself in one of these, karmic contracts, know that the end is in sight. And if you are feeling confused and unsure, please do reach out to us. But there's information in the Instagram reading that I'm going to post below this, and you will see I created this in May of last year. So there's information that is aligning to what I need right now. So Spirit is always working within us. I was saying some crazy things last year that just didn't make sense to me, and now it's all coming back to me and all circling back around and making sense to me. So I'm going to tag a reading which is calling out my soul tribe, and I'm going to tag an Instagram post, and you might find some information for you in your journey. And especially if you consider yourself to be an expansive soul or a starseed, I've got lots of readings at the beginning of my YouTube other channel, The Oracle, that has lots of information there for you. So please go and check that out. And if this is your first time here, I'm sorry if this didn't make any sense to you, but for those that have been watching for some time, I hope that it did. And I will be back in due course. I'm still working on my connection with the team and making that stronger, because I took such a hit last week. I just felt like I was knocked for six, and my trust in everything was completely rocked, and my consciousness and my fabric of my energy was completely rattled. So I'm regaining strength right now. I'm regrouping, as are the other light renegades, and I realised that there's going to be a lot of deep work with regards to this this satanic ritual. It's still happening. It's still happening in timelines that we are needing to collapse, and the person I'm going to bring forward is going to bring forward a lot of information from just how deep all of that goes, because I think people are saying intentions and doing things without realizing the severity of what they're saying and what they're doing. It's like something that we consider to just be nothing is really something energetically. The things that we say, the things that we do energetically vibrates through all of these timelines. So please, be mindful and be respectful and be pleasant to others, and really try and guard your own energy, because that's going to really help you at this time. And another message that was coming through was just that if people don't have faith, it's like the darkness has got them. If they don't have faith in something, the darkness has got them. And I think that is what has been playing out in this lower frequency of the 3D. When people are depressed, lower energies are attached to them. When people are sad, lower energies attached to them. That's why it's so hard to pull yourself out of that. What I was experiencing last week felt like a really, really strong chronic case of depression and insanity and mental breakdown, psychosis. It was like I was experiencing things that I knew to be true, to be real somewhere, but they were there, and it was like, wow, okay, this energy is strong. So hold that too, hold space for people that don't have any faith, because they're struggling at this time. They're really having to bring their souls back, and that's what we're doing by raising our consciousness with stories like mine, with the information that we're bringing forward. We're helping bring everyone forward into the light. And again, apologies for not being there, and I hope this video made sense. I hope that it goes in somewhere and you can make heads or tail of what I'm saying, because it's felt very chaotic trying to bring it forward, but my guides were like, you know, just bring through what you feel called to. So I've done that. And again, you know, to those people that are involved that might not know they're involved this lifetime, I'm not sorry, because energetically I've had to do this, but know that, you know, everything is played out exactly as it was supposed to, and we all just get to move on now. And I don't know, I might be the bad person in their stories, you know, and I just have to deal with that. I just have to take that on the chin and be like, I might be the evil in their stories, and it doesn't matter as long as we're all walking towards the light. I'm grateful for those connections. I'm grateful for everything that I've learned. I grew up a lot last week, and I already felt like I held a lot of wisdom within me, but I was in the belly of the beast, and I felt things and saw things. It was like I was just seeing demonic entities in other people. It was so bizarre and just really profound, and my heart just really went out to those people that, you know, have experienced things like this for a really long time, because they are just stuck somewhere that people can't see, and people are telling them that they are crazy and they're not. It's just that they are going through something that energetically cannot be seen by other people, and that doesn't mean that you are crazy. That just means you haven't found the right sources to help you pull yourself out of that. It's like there is a spiritual battle happening in these lower density timelines that is very real. So if you feel connected to that, please do reach out to us, and we will be able to help you. And another thing that I was told to share was, going back, Psalms 22 and 57, 3 times in a salt bath, you know, again, like a baptism. It was like I was having to bring this Christ consciousness forward, and now you all know I'm a spiritual person. I don't bend towards any religion, but it was like I was having to sit with God, with Jesus in those spaces, and having to call the energy through to fight this entity and energies of these beings that live in this very specific timeline energetically. So it's like everything is true, you know, everything, this and that is true, and everything is true because it's all energy. And that's why I don't stick to any one religion. I feel what is in my heart is mine, and I bring that information forward no matter where it comes from, you know. And I think that's a bit that we're all missing, is that everyone is experiencing something in their own reality, in their own timelines, and that might not be experienced by someone else, but that doesn't mean that it's not true. If they are physically experiencing that in their reality, that is true for them, and we must respect that. So remember that, everyone. And it's been crazy. It has been so crazy over here, and I hope that you all are well. I hope that you all are coping, and I'm hoping to bring forward some meditations that will help you. But I was really guided to go back to even my own material, and I was doing my own violet flame meditation, also Anna Maria's Anunnaki meditation. I was understanding that by bringing the Anunnaki in, they were a really powerful force to help battle this darkness somewhere else, and I was having to invite that in. So some of you, if you've been called to the Anunnaki meditation and you're not sure why, maybe you are battling this darkness somewhere in your timelines too. And you know, you don't have to try and make this make sense. By me trying to make last week make sense, you know, it was like I was just feeling mental. But when I sunk into and surrendered into my energy, it was like, this makes so much sense to me. And my entire life has been focused around getting to that point last week. And I'm so grateful for that. And I'm grateful to everyone that has been involved, because it was like all of these different energies I was having to call in. It was like they've been contracted into my life to help me at that moment, and I'm eternally grateful for that. And you know, I hope that we start to see some lightness, some brightness coming forward. But I think we might have to go through more shifts of darkness. I'm going to bring more information through, I think, next week with this other person that wants to bring information through. So hold on to your hats, hold on to your seats, but know that you are already safe. You know, the future has already happened. The future is already happening, and we are just emerging at the slowest pace right now to be in line with that 5D. But it has already happened, and the reason we're having to learn it all now, to know it all now, and to bring it to the surface is for everyone else that is in connection with the collective, that aren't perhaps as awake as we are. We are helping them to shift a little bit closer so they can come into their own awakening and move forward. So the timelines are going to differ. You might be hopping timelines yourself. Just keep an eye out. Just be aware. And I'm hoping that this week I can bring more information through for you on like kind of little things that made a little bit more sense to me, but I felt like I just had to bring it all forward now. And thank you for your patience, and I do hope this made sense somewhere, but I will try and be back as soon as possible. So make sure that you are cleansing, double, triple cleansing, make sure that you are taking salt baths, make sure that you are releasing things from the past. It was like I wasn't releasing my past or my shadow, and that was why this situation was coming to such a grand head as well. It was because I needed to release a lot more of my shadow too. Even though I was so integrated, I still had more to do, you know. We've been in such a dense frequency for a very long time, and past lives and everything else has come into play. Also, something else, sorry, the last thing is, if you feel like you've been connected to, you know, rituals, or set an intention with something that you don't want to be connected to anymore, make this mudra, so these two fingers and this one here with both hands, like this, and hold them down by your side. And this is a, you know, a bowing down from the Antichrist of the Baphomet. So the Baphomet holds those signs, you know, as above and so below. But if you hold these two fingers down like this by your sides and say, you know, I want to anchor in the light, I want to anchor in the love, I want to be connected to things that are only of the highest light, you are saying you are ready to give yourself over to the light. And, you know, people will come in for you, guides will come in for you, your angels will come in for you and help you. So remember that, these two fingers like this, holding them down by your sides and grounding in the energy. And yeah, use salt to protect your spaces if you're feeling particularly compromised by anything at this time, or you're just feeling darker energies around you. Just stand your ground and say, you know, I'm not afraid of you, the light has already won, and you will feel lighter. But just make sure you are cleansing, make sure that you are looking after your energy, and I will be back as soon as possible. But thank you again for your time, and yeah, I will be back soon. Please take care. Bye.